Well, Mark, anybody else coming on tonight?
Yeah, I thought I saw somebody else said they were going to come, but
yeah, Eric said he was.
Yeah,
Eric,
that's right.
Eric said he was eat up with the Pepsi today, so he's going to try to come in later. And and then we've got Josh, we've got me, and well, I just want to say, I guess it's just three of us. I don't know what else to say. Well, I'll just tell you, it's still though, we love this podcast, and I want everybody to know if only three people show up, it's going to take a lot to drag us all away from you, our fans. And, there's nothing more than 100 knife makers could ever do to make us want to step away, and we do bless the rains down in Africa, and we're bringing you Steve Katz from Africa.
Oh, no, South Florida, actually. That's my greatest conundrum.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast. Featuring Jason Fry.
Yeah, I've been just been doing what we do.
Long time listener, first time caller. Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Mark Vasallo.
There would be a lot of places I would launch myself to.
Chip Carlisle. We've had a raccoon come through the screen door down in the family room.
I was a mean kid.
And Josh Ferrand. And now, broadcasting across planet Earth, it is the Knives Templars, coming to you live from PORKHouse Studios right here in Hartselle, Alabama, and scattered across the country. We are on demand, and it's time to sit back and enjoy another show.
Knives Templars. Here we are again, guys. I tell you what, it's so neat. We had that raccoon get into my house, but when I was trying to get something for Josh Ferrand, I was over at the Coleman Forge, and we actually had to raise the forge up 3 inches because he stepped a little too close to it. When he got his woohoo too close to the forge, he let out that scream. We threw water on his pants, but I tell you what, you still got a fuse, Josh? That was quite an incident.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. Well, in this day and age, you can get away with that. So good for you. Good for you. Welcome, everybody. It's Chip Carlisle with the Knives Templars, the best knife making podcast and knife enthusiast podcast on planet Earth, universe, galaxy. What's out beyond the galaxy, Josh? You know that. What's it called? The what zone?
The empty space.
The empty space, and wherever it goes from there, we do not know.
That's a technical term. Yeah,
it's kind of like ichrometer.
Exactly.
Yeah, like ichrometer. Yes. Hey guys, episode 72. Man, we are getting close to episode 73. I never thought we would get there. I mean, wow, milestone of episode 73. Next episode, Steve. You almost made episode 73. I mean, it was a milestone, but by gosh, we've got you here. From Africa via Florida, and I love that you kicked that in there right there. I told you I'd catch you guys off guard, but we also got Mark Vasallo in here tonight. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Man, we're so excited to see you here. I see you got a little shadow on your face. You growing the beard back?
A little bit not, a little bit. I don't know.
Oh man, either
when I feel like it.
Either commit, don't do anything half-assed, man. Just commit. As you can see, mine, I've got about another 2 years before I get back to where I'm supposed to be. And we've got the hairy man, Steve Katz, in here. Steve comes to us via Florida. He claims to be from South Africa, but I will tell you, I know Steve very well. I don't know if he recognizes me. I'm that guy that sits about 8 feet off of his table at Blade Show and stares at him looking for an opportunity to go, "Hi, I'm Chip." and he's so tied up with people because he's so popular with what he makes. And just the work that he does, very unique, beautiful blades. But it's hard to get up to him. Eventually, I just give up and figured I'll catch up with him next year. And honestly, if I'd stood there, I do so much moving around, and that's only because I'm wanted on FBI posters, and I don't want to be recognized. That's why I go hairless hair. Steve, welcome to the show.
But that's also why I disappear. But that's also why I disappear during Blade Show at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to be incognito too.
Well, it's kind of hard to be when it's kind of hard to with the blades and everything that you make. I mean, when you talk about Blade Show, you're one of those guys that when you go to your table, and I can name a few makers. Well, you're at Steve's table.
Well, look, I see the industry as two very different spectrums. I don't know, maybe that's the way I look at it. I look at a spectrum of knife making that is conventional. Everybody does it. We all do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to become a 3D printer in our industry.
No, not at all.
And when I first started thinking about doing this as some form, in the beginning, it was always a hobby. It was always something that kept my hands busy and allowed me to put a bit of a different spin on a very old product.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to Blade Show when I just moved here. It was 2014. I came as a spectator, basically. I came looking to buy a knife, really. And it bugged me. I didn't find a knife that suited what I was looking for in my mind. And that spurred me on. That just said, well, hey, no one's doing an real African feeling knife that an African would have. Mm-hmm. So I went about, the journey of making for myself. I've made before in South Africa as, again, the hobby, but never had the bigger setup. Everything was done with angle grinders, hand files, and bits and pieces you find while I was working then in the conservation industries.
So y'all were only slightly more advanced than India or Pakistan.
Probably. At that point,
I'm joking. I've seen the knives that come out of Africa. I've seen the knives that come out of Africa. They're beautiful.
Yeah, well, again, there is a beauty in an imperfection.
Yes.
If you can see the imperfection with those eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of bladesmiths we taught to take away that eye of imperfection. Everything's got to be precise. It's got to be milled to specifics. And I understand why. The skill of the maker making the product, that is a hell of a skill to be working in the 0.10 micron levels of fitting and finishing, like some of the guys we know. It's still, personally, I can say this honestly, I'll never get there. Why? Because I don't have the wish to make that knife. I wish to make the knife that sets somebody's, that leads to an emotion in somebody. I want somebody to walk past my table and say, "Oh crap! I saw that when I was in Kenya, or I saw that when I was in Zimbabwe, or when I did my mission work in South Africa." Those are the conversations that, especially at a Blade Show table, that doesn't just lead to a purchase of whatever they saw.
Right.
It leads to a future purchase to something in my country or of my country. So it was a quick way of me living in America to say, hey, I don't have to give up those things that were very important to me. And I could do them with an artistic flair to get some form of a notice that maybe somebody would buy it. That's
most definitely. I think that it's neat that you say that you want to make the knives that you want to make. You're not trying to emulate. When you sit and think about the quality of the knives. Everybody always deflects to like a Kyle Royer quality, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But there's, like I said, there's many South African names, and I apologize. I couldn't name a name right now, but so many people that, and that's only because I'm naive in the number of times I've been to Blade Show, but the number of tables that I walk up to, and they sound like you, Steve. They've got that accent, and you realize that they're from South Africa, and they're just some gorgeous blades that come out of there. And a good friend of mine, Becky Patrick, her husband Jim Patrick, runs around with our good buddy Gary Graham, Josh. She collects South African knives. She collects African folders specifically. And I can't remember who made her knife. She showed me, but it was just phenomenal. The quality that went into it, and whether it's, whether you're in Norway, South Africa, or whatever, it's interesting that we don't tend to lose what makes us special from where we are. And I like that aspect about you, because I look at your knife and I go, man, those are perfect. As a matter of fact, I'll be buying one this month from you, by the way. I think they're just perfect. And you look at them and you see the 100 flaws in every knife that you've made, and you realize, well, it's not to the standard of this particular guy. But I've been heavily marketing myself lately as I approach retirement, that I'm a premier maker. I'm a premier maker at what I do. I'm not going to be able to make a Royer knife at this point in my career, but I make knives that stand out amongst the people, maybe for the wrong reasons. Maybe they're ugly, but I do my thing.
It boils more down to that personal fingerprint, because the customer who's going to buy a knife can buy a knife from a Blade Show, he can buy a knife from 2,500 of us.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, what are they really investing in? Are they investing in the knife because it's a knife? Hell no.
No.
They're investing in what made you make that knife.
For sure.
For this industry, this was the biggest lesson that I was taught by other makers in South Africa.
Yeah.
And the whole, keeping that in the forefront of the product, the little stone texturing on the flats, and the materials that I'm choosing to use, takes it for me to a next level. It's not just a product to make money on. It's a product of my love, my heartache, my homesickness, my ambition, my dreams, my children's dreams, and everything all rolled into a package that I offer to the client.
Yeah, I heard a well-known knife maker one time say, our knives aren't heirlooms. They're just tools. They're not heirlooms. They're nothing special. These guys that talk about their knives will be around 150 years from now. And
it depends.
I think that's
the person.
That's the wrong, for me. Yeah. If I'm making a tool, surely to go out and use it up, or use it and be happy with it, I make a knife that when I make that knife, I make it with the intention that it's going to be around 200 or 300 years from now, and somebody trying to figure out where that rusty old thing came from, or if somebody's maintained it, where it did come from, and not be able to figure out how old it is. Just know that it's been passed down and passed along. Maybe end up on an episode of Antiques Roadshow 3035 if I'm lucky. But in all seriousness, I think what we do when you put your heart and soul into a piece as an artist, I think they do become heirlooms, because I think every work of art in itself has the potential to be.
Well, the person that is going to come along and take that off your hands and give you the price tag that you feel is worthy for it. Because truthfully, no price tag we put on the pieces we make is really worthy. It's tough, because for me, the end result isn't the customer taking that knife into a field and dressing an animal with it. Yeah, I make those knives, and those are the bonus knives in the repertoire. But it's more likely going to go on somebody's table inside a room that they've created in their house from when they traveled to South Africa, or if they were an immigrant like myself, or something like that. So I understand that a lot of the time, the pieces that I'm pushing with the carvings and all the heavy art descriptive pieces that I do put together, um, those are pieces that I know are those heirlooms.
Right, for
So
sure.
so so for me, those are the pieces I really enjoy to make, because I put a lot of this goes into it, and there's a lot of regret in those pieces.
For the listeners out there, he had his hand over his heart, not over his crotch or anything
Sorry.
like that. Or so.
So yeah, I'm leaning over. So it's weird, because for me, a lot of those pieces come from memories, and memories that I don't want to forget, and I want my children to remember when I'm gone.
Otis here
So
likes to show a lot of knives to the listeners. So we have to do, play by play, centimeter by centimeter, and go down the knife and paint them a verbal story. Because Otis here's kind of like, look at this knife. We're like, Otis, we're on a podcast.
Well, see, that's my biggest problem in our industry is
Yeah.
everyone can sell knives quick.
Yeah.
I've got to give a story, and I've got to sit there and write it out. But that's also the pleasure that I take out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot to it. There's a lot of dealing with a lot of things. I came from a 12-year career in environmental crimes investigations in South Africa. So I've worked and lived in some of the best places on the continent. I've seen the Toto music video every morning, every night. But
and you were telling us pre-show that Toto never came to Africa and sang that song, which is a terrible shame.
Africa.
I bet it was a number one hit. I bet it had to be a number one hit there, though.
I'm not sure about South Africa, because back in those days with apartheid, a lot of groups were banned.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was always the illegal way of getting your 8-track tapes back in those days.
Yeah, maybe up in Egypt it was popular. I don't know. Mark, did you know Egypt was in Africa?
I did. I've been to Egypt.
I bet you have. That's why I said that. So, have you been to Africa?
A bit of research.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
On that song there. Apparently, it did not achieve significant popularity within Africa itself. They found it to be somewhat stereotypical and not accurately representing their diverse continent.
Those damn Americans! There they go again.
Oh God, that's funny actually.
Yeah.
The only time that song I think really had any like potency for South Africans was for one of the beer adverts during the 1995 Rugby World Cup.
An American group said, "Hey, they'll love this," and thank goodness it wasn't Bud Light, because it would have crashed for sure. Dun-dun-dun.
Actually, believe it or not, Bud is doing, because now with the purchase that was a while back, where Anheuser-Busch South African breweries bought Miller Breweries and then merged with Anheuser-Busch.
I can't believe that y'all think a Budweiser is probably a great import in Africa, right?
It's being locally made in South Africa by South African breweries.
Yeah.
And it's doing very well. But we're a country with the most retail beers on the shelf. There are 123 retail brand beers on the shelves in South Africa.
So we're not talking microbreweries. We're talking about
all of them owned by South African breweries and Anheuser-Busch.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, VMAX, have you been out to knivestemplars.com lately?
I got to go visit it. I have not been on it for a little while.
Yeah. I've seen, we've had an influx of visitors there. I don't know if it has anything to do with a little creative marketing or this, that, and the other, but I'm starting to get some questions and stuff coming in, so we may be able to get those tonight. But everybody can go to knivestemplars.com and go there. Guys, let me tell you about one of my favorite companies out there, and these guys will understand why, and that's TR Maker. Since 1980, TR Maker's offered high quality and fast service from Istanbul, Turkey to every country in the world and quickly to the United States. Check out their line of knife making tools to make your job easier and more precise. You can't do without your products once you discover them. I'm so excited about them. I've got 4 360-degree knife vices. Steve's holding his TR Maker file guide right now, and we've all got something TR Maker in our shop. So, man, what a great company. Matter of fact, I'm excited. Ucell, owner of TR Maker, has asked me to work with him at Blade Show in his booth when he comes in 26. He's coming, so cool. I'm looking forward to that. So, good man, good family man. So, from Istanbul, Turkey. Nice. And you know what? What's cool is that when I place an order there, like on a Wednesday, it's at my house on Sunday or Monday from Istanbul via not FedEx. What's the other one? It's not UPS or FedEx. It's the DHL, and it's just like boom, and it's there.
The only way to international ship.
I got you. Yeah, and it's approved, customs approved in the air and everything, and then it hits the ground and just keeps on going. So. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Josh, what have you been up to? We're going to come back to you, Steve. We're going to.
No worries. I want to hear what he's
been doing. I've been doing all of the run around for the holidays. Go see all the family. Got to see my wife's family, my dad up in Kentucky, and my mom in Tennessee. And
where in Kentucky were you at? So. Where in Kentucky were you at?
I was in Hodgenville. So,
what kind of backwoods town is that?
It's not too far from E-Town. It's close to the bourbon capital of Kentucky. So,
how far is it? How's it far? Where is it in comparison to Lexington or Louisville?
It's in Bourbon County.
Yeah. You narrowed it down to the 50 states right there, buddy. I was in Lexington over the holidays. Were you anywhere?
Bourbon County is the name of the county.
Well, I don't know where Bourbon County is.
Well, I mean, maybe you should.
Did you go up? Did you ever leave 65?
Yeah, we did some back roads.
Did you go east or west?
You just hold right on. I'll tell you what.
All right. Well,
I'll tell you exactly what. Hodgenville, Kentucky is south of Louisville by about an hour.
So you're over near so that makes a lot of sense. You're over near the Bourbon Parkway or the whatever it's called, where you start heading off to the east there. When we go up, I actually missed a turn. We had to go up to Louisville and then come back down to Lexington this last time. But I forget the name of that interstate. But yeah, that's where all the bourbon the bourbon distilleries are all along that highway there as you're driving by. So yeah, it's a pretty cool area of the country, beautiful area of the country. We were.
That's where you caught the death from, isn't it?
Well, no, I brought it up there, gave it away to a few people, and then came back down south and continued to suffer for a few days after that. So, yeah, you probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't have wanted to sue me. Yeah, I was 12 Monkeys for sure over. Y'all familiar with the movie 12 Monkeys? I was 12 Monkeys. I was 12 Monkeys for sure over Christmas. So we're all getting better. I think everybody in North Alabama's had the flu type A. You got away from it, I guess, where you caught it, Josh?
Yeah, I've not had it yet, but my neighbor got sick with it and all that fun stuff. So.
I'm just coming off something. So
did your boys bring it home? You have 2 boys, is that correct?
Yeah, 2 boys. Did
they bring it home? They brought it home from school? Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the kids run like 102.3 temperature, and then they get better pretty quickly, and it tries to kill us older people.
24 hours for them, they're back up and causing chaos, and it took me 4 days.
Yeah, that was about the same for me, and then the cough for a few days. So we need a cow update. Josh, how is Mama Cow doing?
Mama cow is doing good.
This is an actual bovine, Steve. Don't. We're not. Okay.
I'm all used to that, buddy. We got to pay cows for our lives back where I come from.
So how is Mama Dairy Cow doing there? That sounded much better.
She is doing well. Her calf is almost ready to wean off, and then we'll be able to dry Mama up and not have to worry about her getting sick anymore. And she'll just go be a cow in a field and live her life out.
A puppy.
And then, a pasture puppy. And then we've got her first calf that we had. She's going to be due for another calf here in a few months. And so depending on how things go, we may try to train her up to the stanchion so that we can get back in milk. But we may skip this one and catch it the next time around because we've got some plans coming up that we're waiting for.
You're going to become a full-blown dairy farmer and you don't even realize it yet. You're going to have a whole barn full of milkers before you know it.
One at a time. You don't need more than
that.
You
know what happens when you take a group of Cub Scouts through a dairy barn to show them the dairy barn before you go and get the ice cream that they also make at the dairy farm? You know what happens when you go through the barn? All the Cub Scouts go, ah! And you know what happens when you do with a bunch of cows when you go, ah! And all their butts are aimed towards you?
Oh, great!
It's like a food. It's like a processed food fight. Let's just put it that way. Everybody's getting crapped on. The moms are getting crapped on. Cub Master Chip's getting crapped on. The Cub Scouts are screaming and they're making the cows poop more. It was worse than the Hindenburg. I mean, so much so, and the kids still ate ice cream while the rest of us were just cleaning the processed hay and grass off of ourselves. And but yeah, you don't want to get a bunch of cows excited all at once. I will tell you that, Josh.
Growing up, my dad had a cattle farm on the border of South Africa and Botswana in the Limpopo Valley. And we used to go there every winter and used to go herd the cows with the guys and whatever. And my dad always said he'd rather deal with cows like this than having to have a dairy. I said, why? The dairy is the dirtiest place you'll ever own.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all of their guns are aimed right at you when you excite them. Tell me, in Botswana and northern South Africa, I would assume we talk about the big animals here. We'll call them, the big animals. Of course, we're talking
the big five. Yeah.
What are the big five? You've got lions.
Okay, so the lion, leopard, rhino, elephant, and buffalo.
And were all those in Botswana, southern Africa?
Well, that area is the biggest expanses of land, and also so farming in South Africa is not just cattle, sheep, and that type of stuff. It's game farming, and that is the biggest portion of land distribution.
Okay.
In farming, and so you have the professional hunters that have their breeding programs. You have private wildlife sanctuaries that have been made up by companies and corporations and things like that use it for travel and tourism. So that whole borderline actually expands a massive area, which they now call the Transfrontier National Park.
Okay.
It's stretching from the Kruger National Park on the eastern boundary by Mozambique, and it forms the border of Zimbabwe and Botswana, leading up to Namibia. So what they're trying to create is an old migratory pattern, so animals can move east and west through the subcontinent.
That's cool.
So this has been a project since 1976.
So if you had all those animals running through there, how was that? Here in the United States, it's basically we've got black bears, not really grizzlies in a lot of areas of the United States. But black bears and wolves and mountain lions, and I don't think any of them are really all that big of an issue. So when you've got an area like Africa right there, was that something you had to live with on a daily basis with livestock?
In the early days of the farm, my dad used to tell us stories that they always used to have to go out with their rifle because a lion might have come for the herd. But in my years, the reserves have been so well fortified with the electric fence,
Oh, okay.
and it's kind of created this channel that they stay in, basically. So
Kind of
this
like
is
Jurassic
not
Park. Like Jurassic Park.
kind of again, it's the reserve mentality.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So this transfrontier idea has been built up over years, multiple years of buying up farmlands, turning farmland into game farms or animal farms, what we call game reserves,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And that whole expense mixes. I think today it's something like 4,000 different reserves.
Yes.
Um, but again, a farm in Africa isn't just 7 or 8 acres. You're talking big. Our cattle farm
We're
was
talking Yellowstone
almost
type, like the movie
30,
Yellowstone. Yeah, yeah.
1,300
Yeah.
acres. I mean,
Yeah. The with the I would say Dirk Lutz though, he led us to believe that all you need to carry is a crusty lion killer and you're good to go.
in the bush, we always taught, dude, if you don't have a knife, you're going to battle. You can go out with a rifle and no knife, and you're going to have a hard time. A knife makes life easy. It's a tool.
I like though how he made the
So,
lion killer popular amongst
well,
folks because it had a good story to go with it. And I know that
that story being, I mean, I worked in the reserve where that happened. I've got
uh-huh.
pieces from the tree. Unfortunately,
Oh wow.
what they did to the tree was they encased it in a concrete block, so the tree died, but there's still the stump that remains.
Do not tell Jason Fry that because he'll start trying to talk you out of some of that tree.
I've got
If I'm lying, I'm dying. You know, he's got a piece of the wood from the wagon that Tom Holland used to fly to the moon, is what he tells everybody. So, I mean, he's got a piece of every historical something or other out there. So, just be careful. Don't turn your eye on any.
I've got a bit of stuff in my ones. I've got a piece of the Ford Tracker wagon wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
Excuse me. Sam Houston used to fly to the moon. I don't know where Tom Holland came from. Sounds like a town in Michigan,
thing.
Josh. Yeah, for sure.
But, so that whole thing of the animals moving was more for elephant population elephant management.
Mm-hmm.
Southern Africa does not have a problem with elephants like the rest of Africa, or most of Africa doesn't really have a problem with elephants. Elephants breed like rabbits.
Is it a different species of elephant down in that area of the country?
No.
Okay.
No. So there's no really different species of elephant other than the African and the Indian.
Oh, okay.
Those are the two separate species. They're not even separate. They almost like distant relatives, basically.
So they're basically just identified from the continent that they come from, or the continent/country from India.
They look totally different, but they have one basic ancestral creature that led to their evolution.
Which,
believe it or not, was the size of a mouse.
You know, I think I've seen that, heard that before. Are the ears of the African elephant larger than the Indian elephant?
Larger for two reasons. One, they're dealing in a lot more arid areas, a lot less foliage around to keep them cool, a lot less moisture.
Yes.
So those ears become like air conditioning.
Yes.
All the blood rushes through the capillaries in the ears. It flaps, cools.
So they get the cooling,
down, and it goes down into the hot cold.
I would like to say that you probably think a little bit more of me just because I knew that little fact right there. Coming with your background.
I'm happy to say that. Like, that's cool. Like, I tell you what, there's stuff I know that is totally useless to me in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally useless to me. But
you gotta have
I know them and I keep them close.
I have a friend.
My kids know them.
I have a friend that tells me that I'm a encyclopedia of useless information, but I just tend to.
My wife calls me the useless book of nonsense.
Now, where's your wife from?
South Africa too.
As well. Okay. So what brought you to the United States?
So twofold story. I was working for a South African company that was funded by Constellus, which is Academy Constellus, which is part of the private military contract groups in the US. And they were funding a canine breeding program I was doing for anti-poaching in South Africa and for private security forces on the African continent. We kind of had an arrangement of 5 years with them, wherever they needed me, and then I would have permission to become a permanent resident in the States.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So,
in the process of doing that, my wife won the green card lottery.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
So, like a double lucky.
So you have to just make sure that you keep her happy for the next 70 years, right?
Something like that.
That's wonderful. So, so she has a green card, and do you work in the defense sector now to some degree? Or
not anymore. No.
May we ask?
I left. By all means, I left Constellus in 2016. My contract had come up. I had already moved here, already set up 2 businesses here that actually went belly up, but that's a whole nother story. And not interested in going back anytime soon.
Well, I would say,
especially not in the PMC grouping right now.
I would say I just sent everybody a link on their Knives Templars, and I would say just kind of your look and mentioning Africa and the things that you did and brought you over here. You've kind of got that Jason Strahan thing. So I want you to know I'm a little more scared of you than I was before we ever talked before. So
no need, man. Like honestly.
You were touching your heart before as you were talking about your knives. I'm wondering, like, how do you keep that heart charged? Because you do have an artificial heart, right? Like Jason Strahan. You never saw that movie?
I wish. I wish.
What was that?
I wish I wouldn't be getting old.
What was that movie? What was that movie where he had to keep charging that heart?
Cranked or something crazy.
Cranked,
like
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
Crank, yeah.
I watched it not long ago.
Yeah, and they've got dog parks down in Florida, so I bet they need to keep you away from the dog parks. If you guys know what I'm talking.
With my one dog, right now, she's not up to standard.
I was just talking about the famous heart charging scene from Crank down at the horse tracks.
I'm too afraid of my wife to play games.
You should be. Hey, and you know who I'm not afraid of? And that's to go to Pop's Knife Supplies, because I'm never afraid they're not going to have what I don't want. They were started 40 years ago by James Poplin, and they've been serving the community ever since. They got great prices, and they only charge you the actual shipping cost, not just a standard what it may cost. You get a refund back from them. Today, they're run by Alan Searles, Joey Berry, and another great South African, and that's Dirk Lutz, also a great watchmaker and artist in general.
I never knew Dirk in South Africa.
Well, that's good. That's good because
and he lives like 4 streets away from me.
When you lived there? When you lived in South Africa?
He was like a neighbor. He was like a neighborhood away from me.
Oh my gosh. Well, their focus is customer service, great products and prices. Check them out today. Okay, now we want to hear the story. So you only lived like 4 streets away in a little neighborhood.
But like it was literally 4 or 5 streets away. And I was on one side of the neighborhood, he was on the other side of the neighborhood.
Is this when you were younger or older gentleman or what?
No. I'd lived in the same area my whole life.
Oh wow.
And he had lived, I think this was later in his years, but he was already well established as the photographer back home.
Did you have to picture each other with hair on when you were younger to kind of say, I might have seen that guy? No?
I don't think there is a picture of me that exists with hair.
He is such a cool guy.
Born without it.
I love Dirk.
Dirk is the best, man. And the whole thing about Pops, dude, I can phone them today or do my order, and it's sitting on my door 24 hours after I have pushed enter and paid.
And with me, it's a day and a half,
you can't
always.
beat that.
Yeah, I've got
And
it a day and a half later.
Like, I don't know about some of you guys. You might have some places you can go and pick up a few pieces here and there, like a grinding belt or whatever. There's nothing in South Florida.
Oh, really?
There's no one selling the tool. Don't get me started with Home Depot, the worst place in the Middle East.
Not even during hurricane season.
My father owns a hardware store chain in South Africa, 48 stores throughout the country. And I can tell you, and I refuse to even go to a Home Depot. I'd rather go to a Lowe's, because I know I'll find what I'm looking for at Lowe's, and if I'm not, they know what I'm talking about. Home Depot, you get the
yes, and not only that, I was a Jimmy Johnson fan when he was racing, so I always went to Lowe's. So, but actually, Lowe's does. I go to Home Depot only when they're out of stock of something at Lowe's, and I look on the app and see they've got it at Home Depot, and I drive another 10 miles to go there. It's the only time I ever go.
Oh, there's one on every corner down here in South Florida. You don't have to worry.
Oh, well, they're just taking advantage of.
That's the other problem. Like, yeah, this place has changed in 10 years.
What part of Florida are you in?
So I'm in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach.
Which is
14 miles from Mr. Trump. President Trump.
Very good, very good. So, yeah, I know exactly the area you're in. I was just over at Mar-a-Lago 3 weeks ago for brunch. I bought a pair of the gold sneakers, and they just had one pair left on eBay, so I got invited to come down there and pick them up. I like Trump. Cool. I like Trump. What can I say? I like Trump.
Dude, I'm the same way. I think, look, I'm not even going to go down that road.
Yeah, we just typically don't talk a lot of religion or politics, but I will tell you that I'm not against anybody's right to choose who they want. I think that's what's nice about a constitutional republic. Yeah. But
100%.
But in this particular case, if somebody doesn't agree with me, that's okay. I'm just going to vote my conscience.
What was interesting is the South Africans did the same thing with their elections. The African National Congress lost a 30-year majority or 50% majority. They lost it.
I've heard some inklings here or there about the African population. I don't know the term that you use, because here we would say African Americans or
So
do you say blacks? Do you say
no? The correct political term is Bantu.
Bantu.
It's the tribal.
So that's what you would say politically correct. So the Bantu population. I've seen inklings where they are going out and taking Caucasian properties, and I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Yeah, okay. So there were cases.
Yeah.
But that has gone on from time immemorial on the continent.
Oh, really? Okay.
The farm murders are there. They were ramped up at a period.
So you call them farm murderers?
Yeah, well, farm murders.
Murders.
It's a specific crime that happens in the rural communities where the farms are attacked. And there's twofold reasons they're attacked. One is a vengeance thing and a political thing, because it's a political fear tool. The other is the fact that they are secluded, affluent areas. There's going to be some money in there. There's going to be some guns in there and a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
To a starving African, to somebody who's starving and has got nothing, they'll do anything just to have that in their pocket for the time being.
Oh, I see.
You've got to understand that poverty breeds a lot of Africa's problems.
Everywhere it does, but I hear what you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
So
a lot side to it.
Yeah, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
The political side to it was very scary, because the political parties were jumping on the bandwagon with it, and we're using it in a way to push into the minds of an uneducated population that this is right. It's the same argument that's going on even
here in the United States as well.
world. It's going on in the world. It's the same tools and mechanisms that are in place.
Yes. So if you guys see me popping Quaaludes here, it's actually brought to you by Fisherman'sFriend.com. Great cold relief.
Those are the best.
I love Fisherman Friends.
You need to be doing that for. You need to be doing those things for commercials, man. You do that so damn well.
Fisherman'sFriends.com. Hey, but yeah, you're right, because it's typically the far left and right of any political organization anywhere in the world that's whipping the base into a frenzy, and they're preying on people's fears to whip them into a way of thinking that causes pain for others. And then everybody ends up turning on each other. That's one of the reasons, I started a new podcast called The Shegman Niver. Got one episode out, so we're highly successful right now. I think I've had 10 listens. But, and you can find us at The Shegman Niver on Spotify, YouTube. Anyway, you can find us out there. But the point is that podcast is really driven part in 2 Corinthians, if I may talk a little bit about the Bible, talks about planting properly, planting good seed. And if you plant good seed, it will reap great rewards in the crops. And I know that Steve, I believe you're Jewish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And with that being said, a lot of our things parallel each other we do parallel each other basically up into the New Testament. And that's a very ignorant statement for you to make, because I haven't studied.
But even into the New Testament.
Yeah.
Because it's still Noahide reasoning. It's still what Moses brought down from Mount Sinai. It's still those basic laws and rules, whether you like to say it's new or old or.
Yes, most definitely. But so I just didn't want to insult you of Jewish faith by making a generalized statement without knowing your faith is strong, as I would need to make that. But saying that, if we look at Corinthians in the Bible, 2 Corinthians, it says, plant your seeds and you'll reap what you sow. And if you plant good, you're going to reap good. And that means investing in people. So as I've become wiser in my 60th year, one of the things is starting that podcast, because like you said, I've seen so much hate on the left and the right for all these years. I don't want to acknowledge any party anymore. I don't want to acknowledge, while I do like what Mr. Trump stands for as far as American growth. I can't say anything and I've got Norwegian in me. I can't talk about Norwegian growth because I've never lived there, and I'm only part Norwegian, which means I'm the product of some pillage that took place across England 300 years ago, because we eventually came to Ireland.
But if that's the root of everyone's argument, if that's the root to everyone's argument on the planet about who was there first and who's indigenous, we've got to just realize that we're all indigenous, because where else are we going to go?
Most definitely, we're all on this big blue marble, as the TV.
100%. So the argument of indigeneity to me means nothing, because here's a Jewish kid whose family was in Africa in the 1700s.
Oh wow! Can you go back that far?
On my mom's side of the family, up until 1727, the first of us landed in 1727.
Well, I can only get to 1863 on my grandfather's side, my Carlisle surname side. But on my grandmother's side, I can go back to Holland in the 1600s. But the only way I get the Norwegian is just through 23andMe. But I will tell you,
you could have landed up in South Africa with that lineage very quickly.
Oh, very easily.
You could have gone, instead of Holland to here, you could have gone straight to the Cape.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But I'm talking about planting seeds in this world today. We need to plant a seed everywhere we go. And if you plant enough seeds, enough will germinate that you start reaping what you go. And all those seeds need to be ones of kindness, love, sharing our faith. If we're not a person of faith, sharing our good thoughts towards each other, and taking that fallen instinct that we all have, which is jealousy, anger, hate, and everything, and suppress it as soon as it comes up, because I'm going to get angry and jealous and everything every day. Guy goes down the street driving I drive a Jeep Renegade, but somebody goes down the street driving $100,000, and I might, pine for that vehicle a little bit. Well, I got to get that out of my head. Or some guy may have a wife that's just, wow, what a beautiful lady. It doesn't matter because, and I use those terms loosely, just throwing off, because I don't pine for other guys' wives. But my point is that when you look at these things, we've got to learn to love each other. And I think that's what it gets down to. And I don't think we're going to fix that in 200 lifetimes. But the more of us that plant those seeds, maybe it wins.
Old African cultural tradition that's taught throughout various different African communities, from the Xhosa, Zulu, Maasai to the Shona in Zimbabwe. So you're talking up the expanse of the east coast of Africa. There's one belief in the community. It's called Ubuntu. And it means that I am who I am because we are who we are.
Yes, it's we.
It's
this whole time I thought powerful. It was a Linux distribution.
Ubuntu, huh? Yeah.
Ubuntu. That's cool.
Well, you want to go into it? We can go through the Chris Reeves names. I can tell you what they all mean.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I guess we're blue.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
Well, the basic principle of that is that it's not one person that makes a community, but a community. It's the entire village that makes the community.
A good, wise manager of mine many years ago taught me, don't ever use I in an email. Always say we, or use
My father
group.
told me, don't use I in your marriage.
Yeah,
it's the best advice I ever had.
And there's no I, and there's times when we have to use that word, but not when you're referring to yourself or the group you're in, because it's we. And never say, this is what I think. What do we think? And here's my opinion, but yours is just as important. But that's the world. It's eat up with greed and the things that we can get. We just need to plant seeds.
Instant gratification.
And I'm glad to hear that that's not the case in Africa, that it's somewhat distorted by news reports and this, that, and the other. And what,
It has to be.
Yeah.
Especially South Africa. It has to be distorted in the media because it's the apple of the rainbow. It's the Rainbow Nation. It was the apple of the movement, of all social justice movements.
Have you ever seen a great? Have you ever seen a great white shark? I'm throwing a quick one at you. So cool.
Oh, yeah.
I saw one off the coast of North Carolina one time, and he was only like 15 feet, which is a big shark. But I figured that you guys there and down in Australia just like have the hotbed of great whites.
All of the ones I've seen have been here off the coast of Florida.
Have they really? On the Gulf Coast?
No, East Coast.
Oh, where you're at? Okay, because I was going to say
we got a monster that's local around here.
I watch the tracking that they do, and there's ones that track down from the Northeast and come around Florida and will go up into the Gulf. Yeah. And we go down to the Gulf to vacation, and there's tigers in there as well. But the only shark I've ever seen in the Gulf was a mako, as far as a big mean shark.
The bull sharks over here are
worst shark that ever created. That's the pit bull of sharks. So not all pit bulls are mean, but it's the mean pit bull of sharks. Yeah,
I've seen some serious monsters here. One actually bumped me on my surfboard. It's why I don't surf anymore down here.
Well, we've got that in common too. I used to surf.
Yeah,
can you believe that, Josh? That I used to be a surfer.
In this water.
Can you believe I used to surf, Josh?
No.
Yeah, I had my wetsuit and had 3 boards. And
surfing's the best, man.
Yeah, my brother surfed all over the world. That's all over the world. I just did it because he did it, but it was cool. Yeah, at the time. Excuse me, still getting off over this flu. Guys, I want to tell you something. You know, Josh, we've got something exciting to deliver down to the Coleman Forge on Sunday, and that is a special package from our buddies over at Phoenix Abrasives. You can find them at phoenixabrasives.com. They offer great prices, selection, quality, and quick delivery, and they have a complete inventory of belts, disc rolls, wheels, and everything else that you need to get the job done right. If you enter Templars 10 at checkout, do you realize, Stephen, that you can get 10% off of every order by putting in Templars 10 at checkout at Phoenix Abrasives?
I will definitely be doing that from now on.
Well, just so you know,
I tell you what, I did an order 2 years ago and I'm still sitting with belts from that order.
Isn't that nice?
I did when I had my biggest shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I was doing that until I got into this piece of steel that Josh helped me with and hardened it to like 92. It's harder than carbide, and all I've been doing is going through 36-degree belts. Go to Ameribraid.com. Check out one of their 3 packages. Get one of the best grinders on the market. That's the grinder I use, so it's got to be the best. Doesn't take a lot of skill to use such a beautiful grinder. I got another beautiful one out there, and that's one that old Josh Ferran uses, and that's Broadbeck grinders. You can get them at broadbeckironworks.com. They've got another list of wonderful accessories as well as some great grinders out there. And while we're at it, we're going to do housemade.us because he offers a great 2x72 grinder. He offers forges, the Atlas Forge, and build plans. He's also got a 3x7. Is it 3x72, Josh, that he's come out here recently with? Yes, it is. And I saw today a little sneak peek. Do you know that he's got a power hammer out there?
I saw him running it on his
I did. I'm wondering, I'm kind of waiting to see what that thing's going to look like. Hopefully, I'm going to be looking to get I hate to say it, I don't need a power hammer. I got a press. I'm getting one. So I'm not going to build one. So I'm going to look and see who's got the best deal. And come bonus time, I'm going to go out and grab me a power hammer. Even if I don't run it, I'm going to stick it in the corner and put Christmas lights on it because after you taught me how to use that one last week, I am stuck. I love that thing. Matter of fact, I may just come I may just come over there and just hammer steel flat and not make anything. It's just fun to use. And you can take videos of me and I can put it on TikTok.
There you go.
Because it's only
sad. This kills me, man. I had a Bowdry number 2 that
man.
Breaks my heart.
What'd you do to it?
Breaks my heart.
Did you sell it?
I didn't do anything to it, no. So what happened is end of 2019, I found a shop in West Palm Beach with this Bowdry in the back.
Yeah.
And I go speak to the landlord, and he tells me that the old Jewish blacksmith is 15 years in arrears. And he wants the guy gone. He's got a restraining order on him on the property, but he can't get rid of the tools. So I said to him, okay, listen, I'm not spending the money to come and strip the shop, but what do you want for the lease? So he said, I'll sign you the lease. So I'm like, cool. So I cleaned up the shop, sold a bit of the stuff that was in there, got everything ready to do my whole story, which I want to do, start teaching people and doing like group activities in Palm Beach. You come to a forge.
Yeah.
And as I got everything ready, COVID hits.
Yeah.
But I'm still going.
Yeah.
I'm still going. People are still coming. I'm still teaching. I'm making money. To get some of the equipment fixed, I took on a partner so I could have some access to his money at the end of the day.
Right.
And I knew the guy. He was a farrier down here. And the whole idea was take him on. He'll put in the money I needed to fix that power hammer, get all the electrics running in the shop. And then he could use the shop with other farriers when I wasn't using the shop. I had Scott Anvil had donated me anvils. I had grinders donated.
Wow.
From Grizzly. It was I was set up. And we got into a little problem in October where he wasn't making any money whatsoever with his farrier because there were no horses down here. And so I was making money. Let's put it this way. I was doing 6 people a day, 4 days a week at $200 a person to make a night.
Wow.
And so I loaned him a bit of money and I said, we'll take it from what I owe you and whatever. And it started to get very rocky with this relationship. And I was like, okay, look, I'll pay you out, but then you're out. You're gone. You don't get to use the shop. And I went up to Steve Schwartzer for a couple of days to go and do some learning, and came back down. And it was 11 o'clock at night, and I had this feeling in my chest like something's wrong. And I told my wife I'm going to the shop. I drove the 30 minutes to the shop premises. I opened up the roller door, and I proper nearly died. He had cut all the grinders that were donated with an angle grinder. He had cut them up into 3 different sections on the upright arms.
Oh my gosh!
He had smashed up the original Brobeck that I had bought myself. Smashed it up with a hammer. Cut pieces off it with the angle grinder. He then cut the arbor arm of the power hammer. All right, but he didn't cut it off. He cut it like halfway down the middle. So I could have welded that and still had a hammer at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But he took the locking key and he cut that into 3 pieces, and then took all the locking the eyelet keys, all the locking pieces.
Yeah.
Took all of those. So basically, the hammer is just a motor at that point.
Yeah.
And I kept the shop on while I was with the police, the sheriff, and whatever. There's nothing anyone can do. It's a civil matter.
Oh wow!
So I went to my attorney. Yeah, the sheriff wouldn't. The sheriff said it said like this. He's like, it's like a divorce if the wife breaks the TV in the house that you both live in.
Were you able to handle it through the courts?
So I instructed my attorney to sue him for the value of the hammer, which really I inflated the value, but the value of the hammer was only worth $3,500, believe it or not. The cost to get the hammer out of the building was $11,000.
Oh my.
So either which way, whether I kept the hammer or sold the hammer, I needed to get out of that shop at that point. Really, there was nothing I could have done. There was too much damage had been done.
Yeah.
So I pulled out of the lease, and then I sued him for $23,000, which was what the expenditure was that I had loaned him. The cost to repair the hammer the first time when I took it over, have it reconditioned. I brought somebody in from Montana. Chris Wiley, I don't know if you know Chris.
No, sir.
Will Steckler actually got me in contact with him. When I showed him everything, he said, "No, I'll fly." I said, "I can't come there." I said, "I'll pay for your ticket. You can come here for 5 days to help me with this hammer." And he flew out all this way to help me recon that hammer.
Knife makers and industry people are cool people, aren't they? They're good people.
Yeah. When I told him what went down with that hammer, he was almost in tears.
Yeah.
And so I folded up the shop. I believe the landlord stripped it and sold everything for scrap.
Wow. But you're only like 25 years old, so the good news is that what you find. Hey, let's just put it this way: I was running around in a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am, and dating ballerinas and smoking Marlboros and drinking Mad Dog 2020 when you were.
Still an itch in my father's underpants.
There you were. Yeah, I've got you by. But what you find out, I don't have that story, but we all have stories in our lives that we can look back on and what made us stronger. Hopefully you didn't lose your trust.
It was a blessing.
Yeah, you didn't lose your trust in people, which is the good part.
No, but it was a blessing because it brought it back to the home garage, first of all.
Yeah.
So there's less stress. and I get to, besides the teaching, which I miss,
Yeah.
I don't miss the stress of the overhead of the shop, the insurance, to pay the insurance.
Yeah.
I don't miss those headaches. I've got it all concealed at home. I can make what I want to make. And look, to be honest with you, this is long game. If you're going to become a knife maker in an industry of the world's best knife makers,
Yeah.
you got to play long game. You got to be present and foremost present in everyone's mind at certain periods of the year, and lasting longer than 5-6 years in this industry. The guys that have the name that they do are the guys that have seen the shit through. They've survived it.
Yeah.
They didn't just give up. Trust me, it's sometimes when this is the only income, it's not easy. But
I'll almost say two things here. Number one is, it's interesting. So many people that say, well, why don't you build yourself a nice blacksmith shop out back of your house? And I could do that. People saw the videos that we shot over at Coleman Forge, Josh, and they were thinking, well, that was my new shop. And I'm like, yeah, that's my new shop. But it's amazing. Even like Kyle Daly's another perfect example. It doesn't take a lot of space. It does if you start growing and getting bigger, but there's an amazing amount of work that you can do out of the spaces that we have. I work out of the third car garage, which is the smallest of the three in my shop. And if I do get a power hammer, I got to have a kick out somewhere. But you don't need a lot of space for something like that. And I don't know if you know who I am coming from Florida. You probably should. I am the Great Carolina Chip. You didn't go, oh, wow, damn.
I don't get out much.
No, I own Carolina Chips fishing lures. And
okay.
And I made handmade crankbaits and also some other products for about 20 years. And it was my side gig job as well. And I made several $1,000s a year, tens of thousands of dollars a year doing it. But I guess my 15 minutes, I've got a couple of ESPN shows, but my big claim to fame was Joel St. Germain was a bass fisherman, BASS, and caught a 10-pounder out of Lake Toho up at Kissimmee area during the 2006 Bassmaster Classic. And I got to talk to a lot of very important people in the bass fishing industry at that time, and actually got an invitation from President Bush to go fishing on one of his lakes. It never transpired, but it was a pretty cool to talk to the man and have him do that. And
that
then
was Bush Senior, right?
Bush, the second Bush, George W.
Right.
Yeah.
W. Okay.
Yeah. And what was the
I met W.
What was the founder of? I've met him a couple times. Wonderful guy. What was the Forrest? The guy that founded BASS, Forrest. From Pentlala, Alabama. Anyway, talked to him and a bunch of other guys. And I actually invented something called the micarta dive lip because I worked in the semiconductor industry and found out that this circuit board material was a great material to make searching crankbaits. These guys, please don't talk about that on this show again. They've heard it more than once. But the thing is that all of a sudden, other people started producing it. The Chinese started making things that we were making, and just like knife makers, there were a group of small lure companies out there making a good, amount of money doing these things. And all of a sudden we were just eat up and gone because you have to stay relevant. Your name has to be important and you've got to produce a good product. I think the knife making industry is a lot, like you said, and that resilience, even through things I didn't survive because it was 2008, I didn't survive the Chinese invasion of the fishing lure industry, which they saw that, I don't know if you know, around 2006, 7, 8, Bass got real big on ESPN because they had bought BASS. Yeah. They bought BASS, and then the Asian countries saw that opportunity to make a lot of money. And Japan was making Lucky Craft lures, which are beautiful, wonderful lures. And then there were the injection molding shops out of China just started dumping everything and copying everything, and you can't patent certain things. So it is what it is. The parallel there is in knife making is very much the same. And whether you're saying that we're competing with knives from Pakistan. By the way, I don't criticize Pakistan knives unless they market themselves to be as nice as the other style, the other knives, because those guys are just making a living.
They're using.
Yes,
but also look at what they're using to make that standard.
Yes, and what I'm saying,
they could teach us a few things or two, man.
They could, and I don't knock them because I know that these guys are surviving off of pennies a day to feed their families.
Well, you look at Jordan Lamotte, what Jordan did when he went to India.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed him while he was there. I mean, they
did you,
were
Josh?
using the bare essential tools.
Yeah.
Hand sanding blocks and the work that they were finishing, I haven't seen guys even do with machines.
Yes. Well, I started one. I guess the only similarity to that, and I haven't been to Asia. I have been to China, but I didn't see this. But I started watching Japanese steel being made, and it got into watching tuna knives being made. And I started making tuna knives, and while I was making them on a Marabraid grinder and this, that, and the other, I was really impressed with the way that they did what they did. No, I couldn't do it with the grinders and the tools that they did it. Probably the only thing I could have done was maybe use their wet wheel sharpeners that are horizontal wet wheel sharpeners. But beyond that, it was just amazing what they can do with the tools. So I've never, people can criticize the steel quantity because there's a guy that's maybe from Pakistan that's over here trying to get $40 for a knife, saying it's better than that $300, as good as that $300 knife. And he's making the money. The guy over in Pakistan that's working in his sandals in that shop with the safety issues they've got, and this, that, and the other, he's got pennies a day, and he's making beautiful products. He's just got some inferior quality materials is all.
Yeah. Yeah, I say the same thing about some of the Africans, forgers and smiths in Kenya and stuff, where they're making farm tools.
Yeah.
Forging shovels by hand, 2 guys, boom, 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 and they'll make 60 in a day.
Yes. Yeah.
And those shovels will go out to guys in farms and get used and banged and shredded, and he'll go collect the bases and he'll reforge them into something else.
Yeah. There was a guy, Hectic, Hectic blacksmith.
Heretic, yeah.
Heretic, yeah. Yeah, his mother died with cancer, I believe. Yeah. And during that period of time, I purchased a bottle opener from him. I never received it, which is fine. I wasn't worried about that. It wasn't very expensive. But it was amazing to see.
There's a real honest, great guy. His name is Richard Ndegi. And he's from Lake Victoria area, Kenya.
Is this the guy we're talking about? The same guy?
No, this is a different guy. Because I know Heretic. Because Heretic's more in West Africa. He's Ghana or somewhere around there.
Gotcha.
But this guy's in northern Kenya, and man, I just want to see that guy just succeed, man. He's just got such a heart. He's out there making hose for his community.
Yes.
And then he saw me making spears, so he went and made a couple of spears, and they are gorgeous.
Oh, wow. And that's how I feel about this other guy, that it's just so neat that the blacksmithing he does with the small piece of steel anvil that he uses and this, that, and the other.
Well, he was using the coconut husks as fuel.
Yeah.
I was watching him.
And to sit and watch all this, you can't do anything but root for those people. And everything he did was that he showed, and he seemed very sincere. Everything that he did was to supply for his family. I just think that when you order something from some of those countries, you probably get into some very corrupt type customs type places, and things can just get lost.
Yeah. There's that. If the post, I mean, in that area where I know in Ghana, post is the local post is non-existent in most African countries.
I see.
And if you're not near the big city centers, you're not going to get anything anywhere.
Yeah.
I've got a guy who gets me some of the clubs that I sell, the Zulu war clubs.
Yeah.
And we've got a supplier that's out in Zimbabwe, and I actually have to send my guy out there with the money in hand to buy them, to drive them back over the border to Johannesburg, to have them packaged, fumigated, and then shipped to me.
Why fumigated? Is that a requirement for?
It's a requirement for anything that leaves African continent.
Gotcha.
We've got a disease. We've got two diseases. One's called rinderpest. Which is cattle based, which would demolish the cattle industry in this country. You never recover from it. And then bovine tuberculosis. That's why a lot of animals don't, even hunting trophies are now not even being shipped off the South African continent because of the bovine tuberculosis.
I work in the poultry industry, and I think we ship a lot of products to Africa, as a matter of fact. And we've actually helped them to build some poultry industry over there, but we ship a lot of poultry in that particular part of the world.
That's what my brother does. My brother's in the poultry industry in South Africa.
Oh, really?
Rainbow Chicken Farm. Yeah.
How big a company are they?
Nationwide. I think there's 400 coops nationwide, but he's only on the egg. He's only on the egg production side. So what his business is, we do the coops. So the heating elements are all done on solar systems.
Yeah.
The floorboards, we pull those up every 3 weeks and recycle those.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a great business for him.
Yeah, I work in occupational safety and health. We've got 23 complexes, which is made up of hundreds and hundreds of farms and other things, but there's like 27,000 people in our country. But it's a wonderful industry because
poultry chicken is the number one tool that is used in the international agreement called AGOA, which is the African, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's like a free trade agreement that Obama set up with us, with Africa. And poultry is the biggest thing in South Africa.
Yes.
You guys we're doing a trade almost.
I see.
You're taking ours, we're taking yours.
I see.
That type of.
I see. It's amazing the billions of chicken that are consumed in the world each year. I saw one of those graphs not too far long ago, so I don't want to. But I mean, beef was way up there. But then,
we're close.
Poultry was like, we're on Earth, and Voyager 1 that was launched back in 76 or 8, is way out beyond. It was like poultry was just like, without poultry, the world would starve to death. It's amazing.
When aliens come down here and we are all long gone, they're going to think chickens rule this place.
They will at that. I tell you what,
do they not?
They do. I tell you who rules the hammers though, and that is my buddy over at Two Bastards. If you're looking for your choice in your next professional hammer, check out genuine Two Bastards fat peens, hand forged dog heads, and a wide variety of restored hammers and top tools from the U.S. You can find them at FNN Metalworks / Two Bastards Texas Smithy and Supplies on Facebook, or just do a search for Two Bastards, TWOBASTERDS. And Frank will hook you up with some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hammers. Matter of fact, Josh, I'll be using one of his hammers on Sunday. Again, I enjoyed using that hammer. You did a good job helping me break it
up for you.
You did a nice job. Not scratching up. You're very talented with a hammer. I'm very impressed with your skills, sir. Also, go out and check out Clark Iron Forge. That's our buddy Clark Taplin. I've got one of his presses. He makes beautiful presses, and
I want one of those.
Oh, they're gorgeous. And I'll tell you about the prices here in a second, but they've grown from a few forges to making hydraulic presses that make a real difference at affordable price. Now is the time to get yourself one, Steve. And I'll tell you what, I got a 25 ton for, I believe it was $4,000, and I saved $7,000 because I went and picked it up. I only live 2 hours below Clark, so I went and picked it up. It's like $700 shipping, but you can't beat that price. And if you want 40 ton, it's not considerably more. But Clark is just a wonderful, down-to-earth guy. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons I didn't meet you at this last Blade show is because I had to leave on Saturday midday because Clark said, hey, man, your press is ready, and I'm going on vacation. I'm like, I'm leaving Atlanta. And I drove to Nashville, or just below Nashville, and picked up my press the next day when I got out of bed. So,
well, if I decide to do the Texas Select this year, I'll do the drive to Texas just so I can drive back with one of the little presses.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so they always joke about Clark. He was at Texas Select, and what's his name from Forged in Fire was doing a demonstration. Yeah, and they said Clark was sitting over in a rocking chair during the whole thing with a microphone near him, going squeak, 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 squeak.
Exactly.
And that's Clark's claim to fame now. He knows that. So many people have told him about it that he just sat there and squeaked up the whole thing. So, Mark, you've been quite quiet tonight. Are you just taking it in?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, it's a good conversation.
Well, have you been to Maritime Knife Supply?
When I went up to New Jersey, I swung up there because it's so close to Canada.
You were close. You were within swimming distance. And I tell you, well, this is the time when, all those fish are heading south. So hopefully you didn't run into one of them great white sharks. But you can find them at MaritimeKnifeSupply.com. And they have great products and service just across the border in Canada. But they ship internationally and certainly down here in the States, all over the place. You need to check them out for great deals and service. They got steels, abrasives, handle materials, kilns, grinders, and other tools that let you know that you've got the right things to get the job done right. So they provide knife makers what they need to make wonderful blades. So check them out at MaritimeKnifeSupply.com. Speaking of New Jersey, Mark Vassallo, our resident Italian, I'm not sure about your Sicilian background, but were you a made knife maker growing up? Did they perform the ceremony and make you a made knife maker?
I can't tell you that. But it is funny, right? Like I posted that picture. The family took a picture because we don't get together all too often with everybody, and so you guys are like, oh yeah, you can see the Italian family there.
I think I said you look like the Sopranos.
Yeah, the Sopranos, and then I showed the picture of Knife Club. And they said to me, "It's like, well, you can tell you live in Alabama, don't you?" And so I was like, "All right, touche, got it."
We had a good time at Knife Club, and that piece of steel that you gave me is such a nice gift. I guess we traded off some stuff, but
oh yeah, I made out on that trade.
You came up here a month too early. You might have gone back home with a TR Maker knife vise if you had just waited another month. I'm going to be trading one of those. I've been asking who's got a really nice post vise that they want to trade for one of those. I need a nice post vise. So, Josh, you got a nice post vise? Got a secondary one? You just willing to trade for a TR Maker vise?
I just got my nice one I have, and another one that is a permanent bandsaw holder.
Well, that's like that.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Franklin Forge was reconditioning up a beautiful post vise.
Well, I was going to say it sucks for you, Josh. But do you have a knife? Do you have a vise, Josh?
I do.
You have a knife vise. What kind do you have?
Nordic Edge.
Okay, well then I'm not going to bring you one on Sunday. I've got 4 of these things, and I have one that I. But I was thinking about I'm going to trade one for a post vise.
What I did is Katz knife.
I don't know if Steve Katz. Do you have a knife vise?
I've got a Farrier's vise, and then I've got one of my homemade little knife vise, 360 knife vise little thing that I made. Helps me with hand sanding. But that Farrier's vise that I've got on this Farrier's frame here, that's indispensable, man.
Yeah, the post vise you've got over there. Yeah. Is that a post vise?
I believe it's called the Farrier's vise because of the angle that it comes at.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Now that I see it up close, that is really cool looking. Yeah, I like that.
And it came with my little table setup, which I found at the Farrier Supply here for $150.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And thing has been indispensable to me over the years.
Well, I do want to trade one for a post vise, but the other 3 I'm not going to be in. Or the other 2, I've got one is always been mine. I'm not going to be in any hurry to dispense of.
I want that Nordic Edge, man. That thing is smooth.
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Have y'all?
But in tight spaces, knives left in vices can cause some serious problems.
Oh yeah.
I got jabbed. 2019 Blade Show. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was getting ready. I was the last 3 days rushing to finish a couple of Zulu spears, and I had one in that vice exactly like that.
Yeah.
And I backed up into the blade, and it went in.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
is that the scar? I think I can see the scar you're talking about there.
Yeah, just barely there.
Let's see. That side is your liver and your kidneys, and I think it's your spleen on that side.
Like it went through and messed everything by ball hair. I remember I walked into the house, I had roller towel over it, and I said to my wife, I'm like, we have a problem. And she's like, what? I'm cooking dinner. And as she turned, I moved the roller towel, and it just started going.
Oh no!
And she's like, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, just give me more roller towel. Get in the car. Let's go to the emergency room.
Oh my God.
We'll be okay.
Well, that's what's neat about the TR makers. They've got and I know sometimes you have to be careful and work around it. I typically will put like a large trash can or something down if I've got an exposed blade so I can't walk that far into it. But then he's also got a table that slides into the knife vise so that it lays out there so the point's always inside of that on that particular one. But
and it's a 17-inch
exactly
vices that are gonna hold it.
No, you're lucky they didn't find you bent over. They didn't find you bent over on the spear like an episode of The Walking Dead or something. But I think Eric Rivers has tried to kill himself a few times. He cut through an artery in his foot with an axe that he had sharpened in his yard, and then I think he stabbed himself with one of his knives in the last few years or so. So it happens, and gosh, I tell you what, I always talk myself.
What's even funnier about that was the stitches started to come out at Blade Show. And it was the first time, and Niels had to take me to the hospital in Atlanta, the first time Niels Vandenberg had ever driven in America.
in Atlanta, of all places.
He learned really quick. It wasn't that far. There's an emergency clinic around the corner from the hotel there. So.
Well, I will tell you, we talked about Eric trying to chop himself up. I'll tell you what, he's quite the guy. You need to visit him over at theriversexperience.com. Let Eric Rivers and the Rivers Experience teach you the finer arts of knife making at the Rivers Experience on Facebook and on YouTube at the TRE Workshop. See the Rivers Experience, TRE Workshops on Facebook. Rivers Experience is on YouTube. There we go. Matter of fact, on Saturday nights, Eric runs a live forging demonstration. He'll take a piece of steel from just a scrap of steel into a beautiful knife. He's one of the finest guys I've seen out there that will do a almost forge to finish type blade. I mean, he is practically at just a quick grind and sharpening on about every knife he makes. He's very, very talented. So go check out Eric Rivers at theriversexperience.com. or on TRE Workshop on Facebook and join in with the group. That's all I have to say about that.
I'm starting to appreciate that forge to finish, man.
It's really neat, you know?
Yeah, dude, if I can make a knife without having to use a grinder, if I could get a polished, like, nice, great finish off of the anvil, I would never touch a grinder.
Yes. You know, speaking of that, I decided the guard... or the integral, on the chef knife I'm making that you helped me with, Josh. I know that we talked about what we were going to do and just cleaning that bolster up and having it nice and pretty around there. But as I got around to the sides and it had that forged finish on there and I dipped it and still those lines came up in and just through it. And then on the other side of the small forged area, they shot out again on the backside. I was like, I can't destroy this. That little bit of forged finish on that thing just is so cool. Forever indebted to you. Number one, teaching me your method was just wonderful. And hopefully I can continue. It's kind of like a golf swing. If you don't do something long enough, eventually you'll lose it and can't find it. But you did such a beautiful job with me. I almost feel guilty taking credit for the knife that I'm making right now. But I couldn't get rid of that forge on the side. Just because, I don't know, there's certain things like Steve was saying earlier, certain things that you just like artistically. And sometimes I do want to clean the whole thing off, but on that one, it just said, man, this is a forged blade. Don't get rid of all of that. So I left just enough there that it says, hey, and it's got a good grip on it, a little pinch in there too that you can pinch down on it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
That's why I do it with those spears, because there's no way I want to be standing guarding a 12 to 15-inch spear blade with on a flat ground per angle to get that median ridge straight all the time.
Yeah.
Just rather leave it straight, forge finish, and go.
Yeah. One thing I will say, Josh Howard using 52-100 bearings or whatever in that thing, I could hate him for, because I'm grinding this thing hardened, and now I'm down to hand sanding. Oh, I ain't ever going to get done hand sanding.
It's a different world. 52-100.
In South Africa, when I first started forging, all we got was 52-100 in the big bearing.
Yeah.
In the big roller bearing.
Yeah.
And 5160, which we could get in our precision sizes. That was it. There was no 1095, 1080s, 80 CRVs.
52-100 is the bearing. 52-100 is the bearing steel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 5160 is typically leaf springs and stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I said the right thing there. Yeah. Good.
Yep. I don't know so much anymore, because leaf springs, after some of them don't react the way they used to. I don't.
Yeah. I actually, when I worked at Honda, I looked up like the material that was used on the different like springs and things like that, and it's all like custom made steels to perform the way that they want in order to hit whatever sort of like rates that they're shooting for, things like that. And so it just
as well as maximize profit, as well as maximize profit.
Well, you'll laugh here. I've got a buddy who works for SpaceX, and he's part of the construction for the mothership, the big one, Starship. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what's the frame? What's like the structure built on? He's like, 305 stainless steel.
Huh.
I'm like, excuse me? That the whole thing is 305 stainless steel.
It's heavy, is it not?
I don't know. I believe it's a cost. I believe it's a cost thing.
I see.
And a harmonics thing.
Yeah.
But there's no like other than the interior, everything else is 305 stainless steel.
Wow.
Huh.
Crazy. Blows my mind every time I think of that.
Joe Rogan's got a knife maker, Montana Knife Company. Yeah, I wonder if I could get Elon, if I could become his knife maker. Probably not.
There you go. Give him a call.
I'll give him a call.
Marika Muramasi's got access to him.
Oh, really? You said he's got access. Access.
I think they did.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. I think I've heard that too. Yeah, and because he always talks about Mamasi, talks about Neil as well over in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But if I could get Elon Musk, and then I could, make something for Trump. Yeah. Can you talk
Trump's
to him down?
Easy to do, man. I can hook you up a meeting.
I was going to say, if you can do that for me, and then maybe get me with Elon Musk, and
I'll work it with my rabbi. I can work it with my rabbi.
All I've got to do is to get
well versed at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, good. I just got to get Elon to drop a Shegman is my man on X. Just one little tweet, and I'm in like Flynn. I'm in. He's a cool dude. I used to work. Admit, go ahead.
I laughed at how he was the golden child of the green freebies, and then became Satan.
I know, isn't that something? It's amazing. But I used to work in the solar energy sector and advanced materials, and we were some of the first innovators. The company I worked for that came out with electric cars and hydrogen fuel cell technology, and so people like Musk, I used to work for, that are all dead or dying now in their 80s or have passed. Some of those, very first guys in that. And somebody asked me a few years ago, well, it's like 10 years ago, they're like, hey man, he's starting up this Tesla place over in San Francisco. Do you want to come over there and work in safety? Maybe apply for the job. And I'm like, no, I'm not moving to San Francisco. But I think that would have been kind of cool because I've always kind of gravitated towards those visionary type people. I love the way they think and what they do. And I'm glad that he became a champion for free speech and I don't want to necessarily say conservative values. I think he became a champion for common sense.
Yeah.
And that knows no conservative or liberal values whatsoever. It's just common sense. Just everybody quit whipping everybody into a frenzy. Just do the right thing. I think that I really hope 100%. I really hope he and I'm going to get political here. One thing, I really hope that he and his buddy, Mr. Ramsey, goes through the government and strips out every wasteful spending item they can get their hands on for the next 4 years, because I'm tired of $400 brooms and 9 people to do a job for 1 people, and the nepotism and all that stuff that takes place in the government. Just, you can walk into your local DMV and see that it's bad there, and I'm sure it gets even worse and worse.
Cronyism. Yeah.
Oh, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So hopefully they'll do something to clean that up a little bit. Mark, you're sitting there, you're shaking your head.
Is that a good beer, Mark? It looked pretty good.
What's that?
Was that a good beer? Because I saw you reading the label.
Oh, yeah, it was good. I don't know, maybe Josh put me onto these, or this is the Dragon's Milk Stouts.
Oh yeah.
I think I put you onto that. Was it you, Josh, or me? Because I went to, but Mark has always enjoyed a good Florida man in his mouth.
I've never had Florida man.
Have you had a Florida man, Stephen?
Yeah, a few times.
Too much citrusy. It's too citrusy, right?
No. I'm a simple beer man. I like a corn-based Salvation, a good fashioned beer.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Is it an IPA or something? Is that what it is? Florida man?
I find I find IPAs and all these stouts and that all one flavor. I don't differentiate the flavor in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they always taste like alcohol, grapefruit, and I just don't care for it.
Yeah, and I like a lot of the Mexican beers. I like Pacifica a hell of a lot. I really like that.
Yeah.
But I tell you, the beer I'll go out my way to drink is Yuengling.
Yuengling is probably one of the best beers out there. Yeah, and I love porters and stouts. Yeah, I like porters and stouts, but Yuengling is definitely a good one. I haven't had a bourbon or a margarita in months, guys. I don't know what happened. Of course, I weigh 210 now. I weigh 210. It's 40 pounds, guys. That's 40 pounds since you. That's why you don't recognize me, Steve. I'm petite now. I'm petite.
But it's good.
I'm all petite.
I've got a buddy here who was 258.
Yeah.
Full on diabetic. We were all telling him he's gonna die if he doesn't stop the way he's living. He used to smoke 5 boxes of cigarettes a day. He took the Ozempic shot, stopped smoking. The guy is thinner than me a year later.
Oh wow!
And 0 diabetes.
Isn't that wonderful? I weighed 251, 252, and depending on how much I shoved into my colon the night before. And I'm down to 210 right now, so I've got another 20 pounds to lose, and I should be good to go from there. Be the hottest thing at Blade Show this year. I'm going to look sharp.
There you go.
Sharp.
No shirt and overalls.
That was actually what I was looking for, no shirt and overalls this year, but I will be wearing a Hats by Grizz. As a matter of fact, if you haven't been out to Etsy's Hats by Grizz to get yourself a nice topper for your head, you need to head out there, and you can find it at etsy.com/shop/Hats by Grizz. There you go. yourself up. You got a good hat, Steve?
Yeah. I'm part of the the Real Deal Brazil crew.
What is the Real Deal Brazil crew?
Okay, so the Real Deal Brazil is a company that's making hats, bags, and jackets from the tarps that they put over the trucks that they drag through the Amazon.
Oh, that's so cool.
So they make
that's cool.
they make a hat,
Mhm.
and they say if you destroy the hat, they'll send you a new one. So every couple of months, I send them a photo of my hat, and they send me a new one.
I have backpacks, Cotopaxi, which are made from the bits and pieces of other backpacking or tent supplies and this, that, and the other, and same type of ordeal. I don't get free packs, but yeah, they'll repair them for free and everything. Yeah, they're pretty cool, quite colorful. Yeah, I
check them online. Great hat, man.
Well, we've got a great bazillion here. If you've ever used Pinto sauce, if you're ever on this show, you'll find out that Odisir Pinto is the inventor of Pinto sauce. Not necessarily the inventor of Pinto sauce, but the guy who found another reason for the sauce that he uses. And he's from Brazil, and we'll have to turn him on to that. Have you ever used Pinto sauce to harden your blades?
Ever used hot sauce to harden my blades?
Pinto sauce.
Yeah, it's different. I wouldn't ingest Pinto sauce.
I mean, I used to do bacon lard.
That actually sounds really good. That sounds really good. Pinto sauce
smells a lot better when you quench your blade.
Better than
It's right.
And for a Jewish boy, when this place used to smell like bacon, it was a problem for this Jewish boy. I tell you.
It's funny you say that. We made bacon and eggs and pancakes for dinner night. The grandkids are over, and the grandkids, like all little children, will just dive into a plate of bacon and go crazy. And I looked at them and I said, "Are you enjoying your bacon tonight?" And they're just like, putting it in by the handfuls, and they love the stuff. I said, "That is a gift from Jesus to us Christians." And my wife said, "Jesus to the Christians." She goes, "But what about," I said, "No, Jewish people don't eat bacon, and strict Jewish people don't eat bacon, and I don't think Muslim people do. So the pig was the gift to the Christians." So
at the start of this whole thing going on in 2023, my picture on Facebook was of a Jewish guy and a Muslim guy sitting at a deli eating bacon, and the Muslim says, "This bacon stuff's great," and the Jewish guy says, "Yeah, those Christians knew what was up."
Well, I like your sense of humor. Now, guys, we've got about 15 more minutes left on this episode, but I guess we're here for our vote. We don't do the Pop's knife supply thing that we used to do, but I will tell you, we'll just take a vote, and every vote counts twice. So, because we're missing 3 people tonight. If I didn't tell you guys, Emily has the flu. Yeah. Eric is delivering Pepsis tonight. He works for a distributor, and so I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he works for a distributor, so he's making sure all the customers are supplied there. And Odisir is, where's Odisir at, guys?
It's probably hunting.
Probably chasing some deer around the forest or taking pictures. Yeah. I didn't hear from him. He might be traveling, but, so we're going to vote, and with that being said, Steve, we are voting to make you an honorary Templar and keep you in our private group, because I have thoroughly enjoyed you being in there. You're just a hoot. That's a 60-year-old word. You're a hoot. A hoot. To have to talk with and share with. So we would love to keep you in there and love to have a space for you on this podcast any and all times that you want to come on. So you'll see us talking about shows coming up. So you are a Templar as part of the team of Templars. We'll even put you on the website if you want to be. that we would love to make you a guest host. And you can either stay with the microphone equipment you got right now, or we'll give you some advice on a few inexpensive things that you can buy to come in when you like. But when you're here, you can do shameless plugs. You can plug your friends, plug your products, and just have a good time and just talk knives. But from a worldly perspective, we've got a guy from Brazil, we've got a guy from Detroit, we got a made guy from New Jersey. I don't know where I'm from. Emily is from Europe, and Eric is a Texan, and Jason is a Texan. By the way, I left Jason out. He's out deer hunting today. So you just kind of have a great mix here. So you may be like, I'm asking you to marry me, and you're going to be like, no. And I'm not. I just say that figuratively. But guys, we'll let you vote. My vote counts for 3, since I forgot Jason. I would say that I would vote to yes, Steve can be a ongoing guest host anytime he wants to be. Josh, what do you say?
No.
Okay. And
of course.
No.
He's from South Africa. You can't not give him a hard time.
Mark, what do you say? Mark, what do you say?
Well, I'll do my vote's a yes, and I think I'll vote for Otis here. And since he almost looks like Otis here, if he turned around at the back of his head, I'd say he'd vote yes.
So that you're in like Flynn.
So there's somebody else without hair in the group.
Without hair and an accent. So we've actually got 3 accents in the group, and y'all are all, the 3 of y'all would say we're not the ones with the accent. Y'all are. But with that being said, Steve, we are extending the offer for you to come in and be a part of our group ongoing, and we hope that you'll accept. You don't have to tell us right now unless you want to.
No, it's totally accepted. Thank you.
Ooh, tell them about the pay. Tell them about all the pay.
Okay, so that's the part. That's the part that moves on right now. While we do happily invite you to the group, you'll need to send me a nice little photo of yourself so I can put you on the website. And a couple things here is you can spend all the money you want on the podcast. I know that Jason went out and bought all kinds of nice stickers for this past year, but do not ask me to reimburse anything. I will not reimburse anything you do. No expense reports will be accepted. I will tend to share my sub with you at Blade Show after I'm done eating what I want to eat. But and what that is amongst friends, I'm just joking.
We don't at Blade Show.
I found out there's a Subway downstairs, and what I do is I use this term, probably shouldn't say, I whore myself out at Blade Show. I walk around, and with all of my friends that are there, I'm like, hey, go get yourself something to eat. Excuse me. And I'll sit at their table while they do that. And then I'm going to start coughing here.
Don't buy something on the floor. That'll cost you like at least 3 knives worth. Right.
No, we always go out to the Subway. We go to the Subway downstairs and fill up on Subway. So I will buy you a sub at Blade Show, and I'll sit at your table and speak with.
We'll sort that out. But can you send me the vector for the Templar symbol? I have an idea.
I will, and I will also. If you ever need me to work your table while you're getting something to eat or stepping away to go to the bathroom, I can do a pretty good Indian accent. Not very good with Australian, South African, but so just so you know, and I can do a little Pakistani if it's closer to the border of India. So I've got kind of a Pakistani Indian accent I can do.
He'll be the Indian elephant at the South African boot.
But I'm lucky at Blade Show with the way I get my table, because I've got the wholesome family next to me,
yes,
and so we tend to look out for each other when that happens.
Well, I would like to say, above all things, I'm honored. And we are all blessed to have you part of our group, even if you weren't a part of our group, to be a knife maker and the things that you embody in knife making. We're all blessed and honored to have you part of our community, because you're a guy that really stands out and makes a difference. You're just not generating cash, turning pieces of steel into sharp things. There's a story behind what you do, and that's those stories are what's so cool about what we do. So
that's I think for a lot of us, I think we all make for a reason. It's never just the dollar at the end of the day. This is more of an addiction then
would you almost say
I don't know.
it's mental health?
Yeah, it is. It's
We
mental health.
all
100%.
we all need an outlet, and mental health is not a stigma per se. It's how we express ourselves. Certain people need to express themselves in certain ways, and I find that the art that you choose, Sheryl Crow, great recording artist, said that she that her music was her mental health in what she does, and I think with so many artists, it's that. And I'm not talking about illness and mental health, even though it does happen.
It's taken that way because it's the stigma of the word, but it's not. It keeps us healthy.
Well, I've dealt with some anxiety issues in my life, and I've conquered those. But my point is, mental health is something that we do all across the board, regardless of where your mind is at any point, and certainly involving yourself in something that pulls from your soul and lets you express yourself and let it all out is just great. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I said it to my rabbi asked me, he's like, why aren't you at the synagogue more often? Because I do a lot of security work for them. I don't really go in and pray. I said to him, well, I have my own way of speaking when I need to speak, and I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And he couldn't argue with me.
Yes.
He accepted, like, okay, I understand that. And the moments that I'm finishing a piece and putting it together and the whole concept's tied in, those are those moments. And I think for a lot of bladesmiths, those are those moments too.
Oh yeah, it's a magical moment when something like that comes together. I will tell you though, you saying that because I'm very good friends with a police officer that is a member and also does security at our church. But the Jewish faith has really been targeted in terrible ways over the last many years here in the United States with just crazy people going in. So it's quite honorable what you're doing to protect those that are just doing something as wonderful as worship.
Community in South Africa, that's what we learned. We learned to do it for ourselves. We couldn't put the faith in the country. Mm-hmm. And also we did it for other reasons because we were a affluent community in the society. So we were targets for hijackings and in-home robberies and those and muggings and things. So the Jewish community came up with a system where they would take all the young men in the community, 18 to 35, men and women, and they would provide them with a basic security outview and training. Then put them to work within the community. So when you drop off your kids at the Jewish day school, it's his father standing there, or his brother, or his cousin, or his friend's father. It changes the spin on the psychology of security.
Right.
And when it's community-based, you know who the people are that you're securing. You're not going to let strangers into that little grouping. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the mentality. The problem I was having here at the start of everything was our synagogue employed a sheriff, and they would send one sheriff to the door. And my thing is, he's going to run for the hills if anything had to happen.
Right.
Thank God we're on Palm Beach Island and we're a stone's throw from Mar-a-Lago, and there's a contingent of Secret Service and a helicopter flying around, so nothing will ever happen.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But what I tried to show them was we volunteer as a community, we can show other communities how to do it. And then we become a central resource for the South Florida Jewish community.
It's the strength of we, as we were saying before. We're all in this together.
That's it. And it started out with a friend of mine who started an idea in Israel called Chatzola, which is the Jewish ambulance service, basically. And he's taken that to all Jewish communities around the world. Mm. Australia has him, South Africa, Australia, UK. So again, it's not to say we exclude. They treat everybody, whether you are a Jew or not. But the primary funding that gives them this comes from their community.
Yeah. Josh, I have one question. How do we get Steve up to Batson's this year?
teleportation.
Where's it?
Batson's Blade Symposium.
It's here in Birmingham, up in Alabama.
What
It's
day?
it's April.
It's going to be April.
April.
The Pops guys are always there. Yeah. The Pops guys are all there. I'm just thinking I'm going to be getting that Kodiak Outback tent, and I need to set up some type of safari thing there in the forest in Batson's on the edge of the campground, and just kind of look like real African safari, and have Steve Katz guarding my tent, and that'd be with a spear and looking like Jason Stratham. I mean, that'd be so cool. But yeah, hey, we'll talk about it, and you're always invited to come up. But it's a Blade Symposium, and there's it's been going on for.
Tell you now, I don't think I'm going to be in country in April.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, not with that attitude.
I usually go back to South Africa to get all my supplies for Blade Show.
Well, I was going to say we could bring Batsons to you, but hey.
Well, hey, why don't we think about a beach knife show, man? South Florida knife show. There hasn't been one in South Florida in 15 years.
Well,
they used to do the East Coast Custom Knife Show in Fort Lauderdale, but they haven't done it in 15 years.
Well, we'll have to talk. Talk.
I travel down there for work a lot, so next time I come down, I'll crash at your place.
100%, anytime.
Are you over? Sounds good. Do you go over to where he's living?
Oh, I go all over Florida. Yeah,
that's cool.
I've been to Palm Beach. I've been to Miami, to Fort Lauderdale,
Miami's
Tampa,
not
all of those, all over
Florida. Miami's its own fucking animal. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
It's its own animal.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to one F-bomb. Right. So once we log off, you can let her rip. But the funny thing, so I'm going to be over in the Dallas area in Waco in February around Blade Show, Texas. So I'm just going to stay over that weekend since I'm driving over, and drive home on Sunday. So I'm going to go to Blade Show then, but I'm going back again, and I'm going to stay over a weekend, and I wanted to shoot up and hit Jason Fry's house one day, and then come down to Eric's, and then head back to Dallas and work another week and head home from there. So I've got that fortunate situation with Texas.
You guys should look at that Texas Select show, man. It was a real good show.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
And interested customers, like really interested in the whole to do.
I think Eric and Jason go there, and I believe Joey too. Good deal. Well, guys, questions or comments, product review, show, guest ideas, subscribe, and email us at thenivestemplars@yahoo.com, or DM us on Facebook in the Knives Templars podcast group. If you visit us at knivestemplars.com, you can stay up to date, but you can also send in a request for me to get you Steve Katz's signature on one of his knives. And but you can get in touch with any of us there. Just put in the subject line who you're speaking out to, and I will forward those emails to them. But this episode is sponsored by the Rivers Experience, Emily's Casting Crafts at castingcrafts.com, Ameribraid, and also Majestic Forge, Pop's Knife Supplies, Maritime Knife Supply, Housemade, and Phoenix with their Templars 10 for 10% off your order at checkout. Broadbeck Ironworks, and they also have Templars 10 for parts and accessories. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Anchor, Amazon, YouTube Video, and CastBox. And don't let me forget, forgot Brian House over at houseworks.us. You can go out there and see his Apollo Forge and his grinders as well. We have a list of resources, suggested materials, and social media, all at the Knives Templars podcast on Facebook. Or you can, again, go to knivestemplars.com and find out everything you need. Again, and lastly, contact us at the knivestemplars@yahoo.com. And this is the time where you guys are going to say what to me?
Have a great night.
Shabbat shalom.
Good night in South African.
Clear enough.
Good night.
Het jy 'n lekker slaap gewees?
What he said.
Yeah.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Brought to you by PORKHouse Productions.
Wow. Sorry, do you find that offensive, Steve?
I actually laugh. Look, Peppa Pig is big in this house, let me tell you. My kids go nuts for Peppa Pig.
My grandchildren are Peppa Pig fans too. I just
my son tells me I sound like Daddy Pig.
It's quite the compliment.
I think so.
It actually really is. Children are the most wonderful, innocent, truthful little. Except when they've done something, then they're not quite so truthful, but they grow out of that. I don't blame them either. Daddy's hands are big and they're that age. So I don't know what's going on with the soundboard tonight. That was the only time, but it's usually hit or miss on our soundboard with old Riversides. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and I apologize for my coughing. Ever since I had the great COVID. I only got COVID because I tested for it, by the way. It seems like when I get sick these days, it takes me a little while to get over these things. I end up with this cough that lasts for a couple weeks every time I get something respiratory. But anyway, it may just be getting old. I'm not getting old.
It's worldwide, man. It's not even just COVID.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Yeah, it's just is what it is. Mark, you were awful quiet tonight.
I was just taking it in, listening.
I just wanted you to know that I hope we weren't over talking you that much. You're most interesting guy in the world.
Yeah, it's good. Again, it was a month, right? So when you miss one episode, then it's it's a while, right? So a lot of stuff goes on and catching up, and back to making some knives. So that's it's good.
That's good.
I actually want to touch base on something with you, Chip.
Yes.
There's a super glue product made in South Africa.
Yes.
That I think there's a business in it.
Uh-huh.
It comes with a 2-part powder, graphite powder. So basically what happens is it's graphite powder ground up in 2 different colors. You get black and gray. And the minute the super glue hits it, which is a thin, watery phenolic super glue, and it's just super glue, it's nothing fancy. The minute it hits that graphite powder, it literally turns into a plastic. There's a reaction of heat, and it's solid.
Huh.
You can't even hammer it off.
Really?
It's called Q-Bond.
Wow.
It's been out for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using it for all my hidden tangs and all the spears. It's instant, and once it locks in, it is. I can't even tell you. I can't even explain the connection that's made, because it bonds to the tang as well as bonds to the wood.
Almost like a JB Weld with 2 separate materials.
No, but it's a powder.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But it reacts on the super glue. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen super glue and the bicarbonate of soda idea. Where you take bicarb of soda and super glue in it. And
what I used to do is make gussets on airplanes when I was building giant scale remote control airplanes, and I would always form my gussets with either baking soda or micro balloons and hit them with super glue. Yeah.
Well, the glue came out of the model industry, I believe.
Yeah.
The model industry, and but I tell you, once I lock it in and you put in a 5-inch layer, a 5-inch level of this stuff, it's solid. To get it, I have to either burn it off or hammer it off.
Huh.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
I've got my dad's air freight DHLing me 36 units of the stuff. Now, there is an agency for it in California, and the guy who's got the agency has done nothing with it in 7 years in America.
Yeah.
Really?
The guys in South Africa are prepared to make me an East Coast agent.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
But I think this is something that just a standalone table at Blade Show, just to show it off. I promise you now, it'll cause a stir.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at it online right now.
Yeah.
Cubon repairs almost anything, rock hard in 10 seconds, ultra strong adhesive, and filling.
I've fixed Land Rovers with it. I've fixed Welsh plugs in a Land Rover with it.
Wow. I'm going to share this.
So
I'm going to share this with my buddy that's he's trying to fix a connection for a spark plug that has stripped out, but it's stripped out. It's already been repaired once, and they can't fix it. And I'm like, here's your stuff. I just put you a permanent. And I'm joking, of course. I'm not sure if it worked for something like that, but I'm sitting here looking at it. It looks like pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
For
us, it's got a hell of an application for us because it eliminates the epoxy, which everyone's bitching about, especially when it's cold.
Yeah.
And it's an instant set, and it's black.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's super cool. Well, I tell you what, though, when it comes to like hidden tangs, I use the slowest epoxy I can find.
Yeah, because you want that because it's the better glue.
Well, I mean, like, just because like the working time, I'm so like fumbly.
No, but this,
like,
but
it's
this
like
is,
an instant.
So what I'll end up doing is, shit. Do I have anything?
Well, while you're looking at that, I just want to give you this real quick. I can actually pick this up in Hartselle, Alabama, tomorrow morning, and the store's closed right now. And it's got the gray and the black. It's got the two bottles of Cubon. It says $25.99 for 0.35 or 0.25 ounces or 10 milliliters. And it says a product of RSA.
Do you know how much I'm buying? Do you know how much I'm getting that in South Africa for, dude?
$1.99.
Not even.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
With the exchange rate, probably not even. And if I go bigger vault, my dad owns a massive hardware store chain. He buys that stuff. He doesn't just buy in hundreds. He buys that product in thousands of its quantity.
Let me ask you this. So, of course, it says product of RSA, and I know that's South Africa, but what is it? Republic of South Africa? Is that
Republic of South Africa?
Okay, got you. Well, that's pretty cool.
We are a constitutional republic, like that.
You mean you're not a democracy? Like you're not a democracy like the United States?
Exactly. But yeah, no. But our constitution is modeled off yours. Our new constitution, as of '95.
Really?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
With a lot
That's
more, a lot more liberalism to it that they never really enact.
I think I'm going to go buy one of these.
Play around with it. See.
Yeah.
I know that they are very unhappy with the agency already in the US.
Wow.
But I think just for knife makers alone, even if you just take the idea that the compounds are easy to get.
Yeah, and if it was to wick down into a tang slot, if you could get it in there.
So what I do is this. So my tang's not exactly set up for it, and neither is my thing. So
yeah,
I put the tang in.
Yeah.
And then I pour the powder on either side.
Right.
So it fills up the chamber. And then I push a little bit over each rim.
Yeah.
And then I just let the super glue drip soak it all the way in. Because it's going to soak it all the way through.
Yeah, and at that price point, then it's really, you can just soak the heck out of it.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, even if it's not, and it works even with the other super glues.
Yeah.
If it's not CA glue, it'll still work.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll have to look into that. I'm going to get a bottle of it. We'll see what I can do and play with it.
Play around with it, and because I'm really thinking there's a business, just a direct product to the market.
Well, you could also become a supplier to Home Depot.
I know guys that have come here. I know guys that have come here from South Africa with our three-legged cowboy pots. We call them poikis.
Yeah.
Guy came out here 27 years ago, wanted to teach America about these pots. And he saw his flippin' arse.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Because, again, everything's been tried here 1,000,001 times.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you can't try them again, but change the way or change the specific markets that you're marketing to. I wouldn't take this to a Home Depot. I would take this to a Pops Knife Supply.
Yeah.
And Texas Knife Makers Supply. And directly to knife makers. I wouldn't go and jewelers and craftsmen.
And put it at a price point where they want to purchase it from you, and that they also make a nice little and it just becomes a good partnership. Now I'll get some of them to try it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's cool. I have some I have some exciting news. I'm talking to my buddy Usel over at TR Maker about the possibility of becoming a repair center for him. He does not get a lot of repairs, very few. But when there's times when somebody may not understand how to put something together, or maybe there's a little flaw, that I can sit and look at it and see if we can repair it rather than just being sent back to Turkey, because it's very expensive to send stuff back to Turkey.
Yeah, my only gripe is sometimes the machine screw, the Allen key screws, sometimes stripped here and there.
Yeah, and that's when we over torque those things or whatever. And sometimes aluminum, you got to be real careful. But I will tell you also, looking at becoming a distribution address to distribute products here in the States. So I'm looking to grow. Here's what I'm looking at. 6 years. I'm going to become full-time Shegman Knives and getting my check from the government, and then all the retirement I've done all these years. And then I'm going to have my side gig out, just enjoying making some money. So there's a lot of things I want to get into as far as business-wise. And it's kind of like Colin Hay had this beautiful song. I don't know. He was the great South African singer with the group called Men at Work.
Yeah, Men at Work. Yeah, I remember them.
You're supposed to say they're from Australia, and I'm supposed to say, nah, some of them are. Some of them from England.
They probably were. One of them probably was from South Africa. You never know with these damn Australians.
You're damn right.
That's true.
All we know is they got out of some prison somewhere and were sent there, 200 years ago, right? But Colin Hay has this beautiful song. I'm waiting for my real life to begin, and my real life's going to start at 66. So I'm looking forward to my next life to begin. Enjoying the one I got right now. Love it. Love my job. And then I'm going to just be a full-time knife maker with us as still a secondary income, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. So I'm growing every day.
My biggest mistake was I bought my wife a business in 2021. I bought her an Airbnb management business.
Yeah.
And it freaking exploded. She's got properties from St. Augustine all the way down to North Miami.
We need you to get you one place around Buckhead in Atlanta that she manages, that she opens up to the Knives Templars 1 week a year. Damn.
I can get us one in Buckhead. We can pull a deal through the BRBO platform.
Cool.
I did it last year, actually. For everybody. Airbnb.
What we need to build up is that wherever you get there and everybody goes, they're like, I hear Mareko's in town and he's over there with such and such, and Neil's with him as well. Let's go over to that house and let's have some fun. We need to become the Blade Show destination Airbnb. Hey, let's go over to the Templars party.
The problem is the real issue with you don't want guys driving around Atlanta during Blade Show, to be honest with you.
Well,
Georgia cops are not nice.
No, they are not. But I tell you, I've got a few connections over there. But the next thing is we can just get the guys at Pops to join up with us and maybe buy out the top floor, the penthouse of the hotel there at Blade Show, and we just host the
Sheraton there. Huh?
Yeah, we just take the top floor of the Sheraton, and then everybody can just come up there and And the fact that you can run security for us because we know you're packing the right stuff that we don't have to worry about
my Mossad buddies.
Yeah, we don't have
from Florida.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about anybody getting out of hand, and we'll turn you on them. So there you go.
That's one thing, Blade Show. I can't believe in the 7 years of Blade Show, I have never seen a fight go down at Blade Show.
No, it's good people. Yeah. It's really good people. And you know what? I'm going to say this one more time until this is overturned. The whole world thinks that what we make is weapons, and that that we're not allowed to sell them on YouTube or on PayPal or Square or anything because we make weapons. But you can sell steak knives and you can sell butcher's knives. And if you go out and look in the police reports, everybody's killed with a steak knife or a butcher knife. Nobody's ever
an 8-inch chef knife. Though.
Yeah, nobody's ever killed with an African spear or what's my latest knife called? I don't know, but nobody's ever killed with nobody's ever killed with a Bladesmith Society style knife or whatever. Nobody's ever killed with those knives. Even those things that Eric Rivers makes that are so science fiction looking thing. Nobody's ever killed with it. I killed him with my Quaken. No, I killed him with my steak knife.
But have you seen what the UK's done? They now the manufacturers have to sell you a knife with no tip. It's a flat edge on top. So that's what a chef's knife is in the UK on the shelf.
It's ridiculous.
They've lost the plot, that place.
Yeah, I asked Sal if I could send him a knife to Turkey, and he said it's just not even worth it. He says when I come over to Blade Show, I'll bring something back. So we'll. I'm looking forward to that particular meeting. Yeah. Looking forward. Well, guys,
I say that a lot. A lot of the guys from South Africa that message me and say, "Hey, I want to buy one of your knives." I'm like, dude, for the cost of the shipping to get it to you, it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Rather wait until I come in a year's time and we can do the deal then.
Yeah, Heretic Blacksmith, his shipping was very expensive, and I'm sure something just got lost or whatever in customs. But again, nothing. That guy's a wonderful guy. Just the fact that that shipping was expensive for Africa. Norway's quite expensive too. I can't ship anything over there for less than $100. It gets crazy.
That's still mild, man. Jeez. I'm doing spears to this guy in Taiwan. It's like $250.
Oh my gosh! Well, that is cheap compared to that. Then well, guys, Steve, if you want to, you're welcome to
I'm
talk.
Gonna bounce.
Yep, you're welcome to use he got to go. He's got to go pee. He got to go pee. Well, let me tell you this: when you hang up, you need to make sure that your upload says 100% before you turn everything off, and then after that, you will be good. And if I look at you, you say you're 0% uploaded right now, and I do not know why the hell that is. So
I'm showing 99%.
Oh, very good, very good. So when it says 100%, it's just not showing it. Oh, it's because you're on a cell phone. So when it says 100%, you can hang up then, and then I'll pick it up in the morning. And with all that being said, we look forward to you being on many future episodes. We've developed another great friend in our group. So go pee, man. See you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Good to see you guys. Josh, you behave yourself there, pal. Mark, pleasure, man.
I won't.
Hey, while you're peeing, while you're peeing, watch your phone. Make sure it says 100% before you shut it off.
I will do.
All right. Wash your hands. Bye.
Always.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it has been a wonderful evening as always. We are blessed to be friends. Josh, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. It's a shame that you've got a Nordic Edge knife vise, or I might have delivered you one. You actually were on my thought list, but I'm still looking to see if I can't. I think that's a pretty good trade, a post vise for a 360 vise, TR Maker 360 vise. Yeah. I think it's a good trade. Yeah. So I'm waiting for some guys to send me some notification on possibly one there. So. Well, guys, I hope you have a blessed evening, and we will see you and everybody else on the next episode of the Knives Templars podcast.
All right.
Yeah.
Oinky, oinky, oinky.